Do you have a fish in one of your aquariums that you just can't seem to find because it's hiding all the time? Well, it's not uncommon. In today's video, I'm going to talk a little bit about what you can do to maybe get your fish to come out a little bit more. Hey fish friends, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Zenzo from Tazawa Tanks. Now the other day I was hanging out down here in my fish room and I had done some maintenance, fed all my fish, and just decided to kind of turn down the lights and just chill out in my easy chair in this room. And I was like looking at videos on my phone and stuff like that, and I happened to look up and see some fish that I hardly ever get a chance to see. In fact, I thought I only had 3 of them, but I ended up having 4. And so this kind of led me to think about fish that hide and ways that we can coax them out, and maybe some of the reasons why they're hiding in the first place. Now when it comes to fish that are hiding, there are several reasons why they hide. One of those reasons might just be that the fish happens to be that type of fish that likes to not be out and about. It might be the characteristic of that fish where it likes to hide during the daytime. Maybe it's a nocturnal fish, maybe it's a fish that likes to hide in leaves and rocks and wood, etc. So it just might be that you have a species of fish that does like to hide. In other situations, which is more likely the case, there's something that is happening in the environment that's making the fish uncomfortable, which is causing it to hide. One of those is lighting. So if you have a fish that is used to living in a darker area and you have a lot of lights, bright lights, or maybe a light source that's outside of the aquarium, that might spook the fish. So as an example, let's say that you have a very bright lit tank. You might have a fish that says, well, I don't want to be out in the bright. I'm used to kind of hiding out under a rock or wood. They're going to seek that kind of quietest, darkest area in the tank, and you're not going to see them. Another thing when it comes to lighting, and this is something that happens when we are around, is think about like fish in the wild. When there's a predator that's coming by, they usually will see like a shadow or some kind of, something coming across their vision, and that could be us. And it might be a situation where there's a window nearby and they see our body walking by the tank and they see this big shadow walking, then all of a sudden they're going to hide. So a lot of it might be instinctual, where the fish is trying to hide because it's fearful. Another reason why a fish is hiding, and this is also quite common, is it might be due to aggression in the aquarium. It might be another species of fish in that tank that is dominating. It might be another fish of the same species that is bullying that fish, so they're going to seek some shelter by not being visible, so they're not getting picked on and beat up all the time. Now when it comes to the aggression thing, that's definitely something that you're going to want to address if you want to see that fish that's hiding. So you're going to have to address the fact that the fish that is doing the beating up the aggressor, you're going to have to figure out how to manage that situation to where it's not hurting your other fish and your other fish aren't hiding. When it comes to African cichlids, that might be overstocking. When it comes to other species of fish, that might be the ratio of males to females, etc. So you'll have to kind of play around with that and find out what's best for the fish that you're keeping. When it comes to some of the other factors like shadows and things like that, it is important for us to realize that keeping fish in a little glass box is really not a natural environment, so we need to make the fish feel as comfortable as possible. A lot of times that's providing natural cover, so that might be plants, it might be something like a floating plant, so some fish like to have cover up above. So if you could add some floating plants or some larger plants that grow taller, that have larger leaf structure that kind of covers the top of the tank, that might also make them feel more comfortable and have them come out. And then also when you're approaching a tank, or even when you place your tank in your house in a certain area, be very cognizant about windows in the area, light that might come through from another part of the room, how you enter the room, noises, things like that might distract the fish or scare the fish and spook them and cause them to hide. Another thing that would also help in some situations, and this is quite common, is to have what's called a dither fish. A dither fish is basically a fish that you put in the aquarium that's not the feature fish, and usually it's like several fish that will kind of school around or swim around, shoal around or school around, and usually what will happen is if other fish see, oh look, there's another group of smaller fish swimming around, they're going to think that it's safe and they'll come out from their hiding spot. So it's kind of like thinking about maybe someone who's scared of the bully in the schoolyard, and they see all the other kids like come out from their hiding spot and they're all playing on the playground, so they might think, oh okay, it's safe, there's no bully around, or there's no predators around, it's okay for me to come out. So that's what ditherfish do, and that is something that you can look at as well. Another thing that you can do is you can train your fish. So if you have a certain fish that tends to hide if you could be very consistent with your feeding and do the same thing all the time when it comes to your feeding, then maybe you can train your fish to come out from its hiding spot at that time of day, or when it notices, you know, that you're opening a can of food, or when you do a certain thing, that might coax the fish out. So in my situation, I have those fish where I never see them. So those are the redfin calvus, which I've kind of showed some B-roll of. So these redfin calvus are some really amazing and interesting fish from Lake Tanganyika that I've had for a long time. I bought 4 of them a long time ago. I don't even remember when I bought them. I put them in the aquarium, and that was like the last time I saw them, because they kind of like darted behind all the rock work that I have in there, all that coral work. Now, after a while, every once in a while I'd see 1 or 2, and then one time I saw 3 of them, and then every once in a while I'd look and then I would see 3. So I thought like one died and it just like got eaten by snails or something and just kind of decomposed. But the other day when I was sitting down in my room and did the feeding, and I was very quiet, and you know, the lights were off in here, all 4 came out. So basically the only time that I can see those fish is when I put food in that aquarium and then very quietly sit back. Now, the reason why they're hiding is probably because there is lots of space to hide. In this room, there's not a lot of like areas where it's causing shadows and things like that. Basically, it's just aquariums all around. The other fish in there are quite fine, and they're not aggressive in relation to the calvus. They don't beat up the calvus. The calvus are larger, and they can fend for themselves just fine. But because I've created so much rock work and kind of natural cave work in that tank, they just kind of have their natural hiding places just like they would out in nature. So if I wanted to see those fish more often, I could change the decor of the aquarium, remove all of those rocks, and just have a couple rocks where I could see the fish. But I like the way it looks. I don't mind having that natural setup, and I don't mind the fact that they like to hide behind the rocks, knowing that if I do put food out and coax them out, I can very quietly sit and observe them, or set up the camera on a tripod, feed them, and then walk away and come back later and watch the footage, which is what I had to do with this video. In fact, I actually put the tripod in front of and the camera in front of the tank, fed them, left for about 20 minutes, and then I had to take out the memory card and go look at the memory card to see if those fish even came out before I filmed this part of the video. So anyway, those are just a few tips and tricks that you can do to maybe get your fish out from hiding. Remember that some of it might be caused by you, some of it might be caused by other fish or the lack of other fish. When it comes to the other fish, it might be a situation where it's a lack of cover, meaning less plants or floating plants, floating cover, things like that. And then you could also maybe train your fish to come out at a certain time or come out when you feed them. Another example is I have some Bolivian rams in my blackwater tank, and they kind of hide a lot too. There's a lot of cover in that tank. But I do know that when I feed, they will come right out. So they are not shy when I am feeding. So anyway, I hope these tips helped you. Hopefully you can try some of these and they'll work out. Comment down below if you've experienced this problem. Comment down below what you've done to remedy the situation if you have encountered it. That's all I had for now. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. A lot of you are probably wondering who won the contest. So it's late at night, Tuesday night. I've actually already picked the winners and I've notified the winners. So if you haven't been notified, I'm sorry it wasn't you. It did go to a couple winners. One of those was Fish Mad Maddie or something like that from the UK. And then the US winner was like Home and something, I forgot. So anyway, I contacted both of them. The US Aquarium Co-op gift certificate was already emailed to the US winner, and I will be packing up the large Tazawa Tanks t-shirt for Maddie and sending it to the UK. So thanks for participating in that little contest or whatever it was, and we'll probably do something again in the future, so stay tuned.